Let's start in utero because that is, where the journey begins. And of course, your work with the To Be Pregnant program totally reshaped how a lot of women are approaching pregnancy. Because it's not just about, worrying about what happens when the child's born and dropping the pregnancy weight. This is nutrition establishing the healthiest possible version of your offspring that you can produce.
And there's great stats on reducing picky eaters too. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, there's a study that showed that if a mom, I believe it was with carrot juice or carrots, but if the mom ate a significant amount of and consistently throughout the pregnancy the carrots, then the babies were shown to like carrots more, like have a greater affinity afterwards. The benefits of nutrition during pregnancy are it's endless. I mean, there's studies that have connected, which is why I drank so much kefir during my pregnancy, to probiotics in utero with lower rates of colic afterwards for the baby after. Definitely, we know that babies born overweight have a higher likelihood of being overweight as adults. So it's just so important, to not say, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm eating for two, I could eat whatever I want. There are some women who truly, their pregnancy, they gain 80 pounds. They kind of just use it as, especially if the woman was very restrictive and dieted for a very long time prior. I've noticed that's become a pattern of where finally they feel like they can let it go. But if you actually go back to the French for a minute, it's very interesting. The French culture around pregnancy is like the actual opposite of America. In France, women, tend to not really diet at all. There's not really a culture of dieting, but actually when they're pregnant, they take it more seriously. They really watch themselves in pregnancy. Versus in America, we have that whole you're eating for two, come on. Why have a slice of toast? Go for the croissant. You're pregnant. You're the pregnant one. Go into, it's flipped.
So tell us about this program, the To Be Pregnant, because that, again, this is the foundational establishment of optimal nutrition, not just for the baby, but mom carrying.
Yeah, no, this was a wonderful program to do because I actually filmed it when I was pregnant with my third. So I'm actually in my third trimester, in my third pregnancy, really sharing, even just from a personal level, everything I wish I knew before I had my first, because I actually gained most weight with my first pregnancy and then gains less and less over time, which for a lot of women, it's the opposite. They gain more with each pregnancy as they get older. But I found that the more I cared about nutrition, the better my energy was. And even though I was much older for my last pregnancy, I felt like my energy levels were the same because just the eating well and exercising throughout makes such a difference. So, I mean, I just think, a lot of women in their first trimester, they get very nauseous, and all the literature will tell you, eat carbs, eat carbs. All your friends will tell you, eat carbs, eat carbs.
For the glycemic control, right? A lot of it's a blood sugar issue, or at least maybe mistakenly overly described as simply a blood sugar issue.
But sometimes it's a lack of hydration that makes the woman really nauseous, is they're really dehydrated. And sometimes it's a lack of protein. And, you can look up in consensus the connection between increased protein and reduced nausea for the first trimester for women, because I saw some good literature on that when developing this program. So, there might be aversions to chicken while you're pregnant and things like that, but then tofu feels more neutral, or Greek yogurt, or you can bake it. You can blend cottage cheese into a smoothie, and then sometimes it tastes a little bit more ice creamy. I mean, there's so many ways we can fill up on nutritious foods while pregnant and still satisfy all those cravings. So, if you're craving fries, I have recipes for turnip fries and carrot fries, because your baby still needs the fiber, your baby still needs the nutrients, and doesn't want bland flavors, because we see that having those maybe slightly bitter flavors or different veggie, earthy flavors might actually impact your child later on and reduce the likelihood of being picky. So
it's doing its work to find out, but I think Lisa's found 5 papers that answer the question, and ultimately, yes, protein does help with managing, nausea during pregnancy and morning sickness. What are some of the hallmarks, though, of the program? What is it that you establish pregnant moms with in terms of recipes and ideas around eating habits? And by the way, you touched on something I think is really important. A pregnancy experience is different every single time, right? I mean, and some of it has to do with the microbiome, and some of it's got to do with even the hormones that are communicating out this is not a separate. This is a separate being. But when they're in utero, they are together and symbiotic with you, right? So, but what are some of, regardless as to being a different experience every time, what are some of the hallmark? What are some of the things that every single pregnant woman should be doing, eating, thinking about?
Definitely having high quality whole foods throughout the day, not relying on, prepackaged tons of prepackaged foods or ultra processed foods, because we know that whole foods are more filling, and that when you eat more whole foods, you tend to just naturally eat less calories in a day and
more nutrients.
More nutrients, and come to the point where you're eating the right amount. So, obviously in pregnancy, it's important to gain weight, but the goal is to gain a healthy amount of weight and not an excessive one. So within the To Be Pregnant program, I teach women to still use a food journal and write down their food, and encourage them to eat high quality protein, fruits and vegetables every single day, and definitely use fun recipes like cauliflower crust pizza to satisfy the cravings rather than just eating, regular white pizza all the time. We also have videos on tips for nausea, tips for constipation, and all of these things, because it's uncomfortable. It's honestly a pretty uncomfortable period. And I just found with each of my pregnancies, like gaining a healthier and healthier amount of weight, feeling good in my body, feeling empowered in my body by moving it every day and exercising every day, literally makes the whole experience better.
Right. For both, I'm sure.
Yeah.
For the child, too.
Oh, absolutely.